the volunteer centre, which is not to punish the punctual. So we take a very deliberate approach that things start within 1 minute of when we say they'll start, because we don't like this idea that people turn up on time and then have to wait for those that don't. So we'll keep an eye in the waiting room and let people in as they go. But for the moment, I suppose we'll just do a quick introduction to Sian and we'll hand over to herself. So we're delighted to be joined this evening by somebody I've known for years and years and years, Sian McCann, who is, I suppose, running a bakery in Dunfanaghy for this past couple of years, but would have been a community worker before that and would have had vast experience in just supporting festivals and events and kind of community facilities across the county, but particularly in Dunfanaghy, which is, I suppose, her adopted home. So I suppose Sian started a few years ago the Wild Fuschia Bakehouse and was operating as a bakery, but I know now that she has bread mixes for sale in SuperValu. I think that's the academy with SuperValu, I think, Sian, that you're through. And it's just a fantastic, I suppose, opportunity for smaller artisan kind of products to get that national coverage and to get that access to it. So Sian, we're delighted, before you're too busy to be doing sessions like this, that you're able to join us today and that you're able to give us a little bit of insight into your work and the work that you do and the Donegal products that you use. So Sian, if it's okay, we'll hand over to yourself and we'll talk to everybody soon. Okay, thank you. Oh, sorry, just before you start, Sian, I meant to add about the questions. If any of you have any questions, just to stick them into the chat, and myself and Eamon from the Volunteer Centre will interrupt Sian as we go with the questions. Just with the numbers, it can be a little bit disconcerting if everybody's jumping in. Okay, Sian, it's all yours.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here. And I've picked some of my favourite recipes just to show you how to do them. They're quick and they're easy, and as we say in the bakery, we like no so you don't have to take much.
Sorry, can I ask people who aren't speaking to mute? I'm going to run through and mute a lot of people now.
Have in the bakery, and sorry. So I'm just going to open up the pack and pop it into the bowl. I just give it a wee mix, just in case there's any some of the sugar has coagulated or clumped together, but that's perfect. And all you need for the wheaten bread is an egg and buttermilk. And I do try to use as many Irish products as possible. So this is a local egg, Glenboran. They're from Donegal, and of course our lovely Donegal cream cheese buttermilk. So you need 220 mils of buttermilk, and I don't like dirtying dishes, so I'm just going to weigh it straight into the bowl, and it's 220 mils, and you can weigh it as 220 grams on your scales. So I'll just pour it straight in. There we go. And then I'm going to crack the egg, and I'm actually going to pop it straight in to the bowl. So as you can see, it's in the bowl there, and I'm just going to give it a wee quick mix. All the mixes, we've got 4 mixes. Well, we've got 3 mixes at the minute, and we have a 4th one coming out. Yeah. And they're all ready in under an hour, and they use a minimum amount of ingredients.
Very good. Sian, can I interrupt just for 1 wee second? We have a question on what the first ingredient was. I think we had some interruptions with in the background, and just for you to speak up as well. You're being too gentle. I think you need to shout it as a wee bit.
Okay, my husband wouldn't say that. Okay, so we're using the Wild Fuschia wheaten bread mix, and we put 220 mils of buttermilk. I like to use the Donegal Creameries one, support local, and then it's 1 egg, and as I was saying, I use the Glenboran and the Donegal eggs. So you just pop it all in, give it a mix, And then it's for a £1 tin. So you just pop in a little bit of greaseproof. It just makes the greaseproof just makes it easier to lift out when the bread is made. And but if you don't have any, you can just grease the tin with a bit of olive oil, but it will make it a bit crunchier on the outside. So we'll just pop that straight into the tin. And you just make sure it's poked into the corners. You don't want to knock the air out of it, but at the same time, you want it to be fit into the tray, okay? So just like that. And that goes into the oven for about between 50 and 60 minutes at 180. So I'm just going to pop that in now. And I'll just check my potatoes. I'm checking that I have in already. We'll just give a wee tidy up here away. And the next thing we're going to make is our tuna pate. This is the recipe that my mother would have used. She used to have a little tea room in Ballymore, and this is a wee quick recipe that she used to like to make, and it's lovely. Get my ingredients in. I have the Philadelphia. No, not that. Sorry, that was open. On the door, not the door, but the shelf.
Sian's been ably assisted by her husband Colin this morning, and
Hello, everybody.
that's it. He doesn't get to appear in front of the camera, unfortunately, but a delightful man and very helpful.
So it's about half. I'm not very good at measuring things, and I'm kind of a cook that throws it all in and tastes as we go. So about half a tub of cream cheese. So I'm using Philadelphia, and you give that a wee mix, just so there's no lumps in it. And I'm using Shine's, again another Donegal Bag company. I'm using their tuna. It's beautiful. So I've drained it, and I'm just going to throw it in on top of the cream cheese. Save all these dishes for later, and then you mix it in. So it's very straightforward. And the great thing about this is it's lovely in sandwiches. It's lovely as a pate with wheaten bread. So you can use it for if your kids like tuna. It's great for the lunch boxes. Just something different. And if you're having people around, it's also very easy to make in advance, so that you're not hassled making things when people arrive. So that's it mixed in. You add just a little sprinkle of salt for seasoning, and a little bit of, I like ground black pepper rather than cracked black pepper, but it's really up to yourself. There we go, we sprinkle. And then some lemon juice. And you just squeeze it in like that. And again, another wee mix. Now I'm going to serve this in a ramekin, which I have here, but you can actually roll it in nuts, and that's in the recipe sheet. If you want to put it on the plate. So I'm just popping it in a little ramekin like that. And I'm going to just chop some, you can buy chopped nuts, mixed chopped nuts, but I have nuts in the house, so I just thought I would chop some myself. And these are walnuts, but you can just use nuts you like. whatever you have in the house. You don't need to go out and buy special ingredients. And it gives it a nice little crunch. So you just sprinkle those on top, like that. And if you want to be very chefy, you can pop a little bit of basil on the top for decoration. So that's your little side salad. A wee leaf of basil. And I made a wheaten bread earlier, the same as the one that's in the oven. You can just slice it. You can't really slice it properly when it's hot. It kind of goes all sticky on you, so you need to leave it to cool. So I've just sliced up some bread and you pop it on, and that's your wee starter. So it's quite good, and you can see how quickly that was made. So I'll just set this over out of the way, and we'll crack on with the chicken. I'm just going to check. I have a chicken in the oven at the minute. I'm just going to check on it. So the recipe I gave you was for a full chicken, but I've done a half chicken. You can ask your butcher to cut it in half for you, but it's very straightforward to do it yourself. And I'm using Noons, again, another Donegal company. Really tasty chicken. I love chicken because you can make soup out of it from the carcass afterwards. If you've got leftovers, you can use it for lunches. So it's a great staple. I love it. So this is lemon and thyme. I have my baking tray here. So I'm just going to slide it in. And you can use rapeseed oil. The only one I had actually at home, I would run out the normal one, is the lemon one. And I don't want to use it because I don't want too much lemon. But again, another great Donegal company. So you just drizzle it with a little bit of olive oil. Again, nice salt and pepper. Just sprinkle over the top. And some salt. And then the lemon, I just use a potato peeler. And if you're not very keen on fruity main dishes, don't put too much in, because really I like a background flavour rather than a full-on lemon flavour, if that makes sense. So just if you're not very keen on lemony things, just a little bit, and it'll just give a nice background flavour. So some in the tray, and then some over the chicken as well, just like that. And you try and avoid getting the white, the pith, because it's quite bitter, and you don't want a bitter flavour coming through in the sauce. So just another wee bit, and that's that. Now, the thyme, I love thyme, and I brought this one in from the garden. Can you see this big spot here, Joe? No? I got this thyme. Can you see it now? I got this thyme back in March, and we just potted it up and put it out. I got it in the garden centre, and this one is a variegated one, and it's a lemon. You run your hands through it. The smell is just gorgeous. So I think that was about €5, but that'll live for several years in the garden, and you can just get a little bit of it when you want. It goes with a lot of things. So just pick off a few wee sprigs and sprinkle over, just break it up a wee bit. And because it's a nice young plant, there aren't any big stalks. You don't have to worry about woody stalks. So sprinkle it over the chicken. And this one, as I say, will give a nice background flavour. They have lots of different varieties. They've got a plain thyme, they've got pineapple, lemon. This one's lemon, so again, it'll give a nice wee background flavour. And I want to put a little bit of water in the bottom of the tray. And this is just to get a nice little bit of stew or gravy at the end. So you just want to cover the base of the pan. Can you see? Can you see that on the camera? No. I didn't add very much at all. It's just to cover the base of the tray. And I'm going to cover it in tinsel. And we're going to pop that. Now, it's very important with chicken and meats that you preheat your oven. If you don't, basically any of the bacteria in the meat kind of just grows and multiplies. So it's really important that if you have a hot oven, as soon as your meat goes in, it starts cooking, and the natural bacteria that's there gets killed and it's safe to eat. Now, I'm putting this in for about an hour, and then I'm going to take the tin foil off. But you need to check the cooking instructions. Every chicken will come with a weight and cooking instructions if you follow those. Basically, you want the juices, when you put a knife into the chicken, you want the juices to run clear and no blood or cloudiness, and that will let you know that the chicken is cooked properly. So, put this one in. I'm just lifting out the one I have prepared already. I'm going to leave it to rest for about 10 minutes. And basically what happens is when you cook meat, it all tenses up. And if you leave it to rest, it relaxes and all the juices drizzle in through the meat of whatever the meat is, the juices just drizzle in and the meat relaxes. So if you've ever had a very sort of tough piece of meat, it maybe hasn't been rested long enough. Potato. So the dry roasted potatoes, they should be a very healthy option because they're literally, I peel the potato, I chop the potato and I pop it in the oven. But it's absolutely gorgeous. They're so easy. You need to eat them with nice salty butter when they're made. So you just peel your spud. Is there any questions?
The only comment that's coming in, Sian, other than I'm amazed at how quick you can make a pate. It takes me longer than that to make a tuna sandwich, never mind a pate and a side salad and chopped nuts and the whole thing. It's just, yeah, for you to just keep the volume up as you're going. But no, it's fantastic. And I'm kind of embarrassed to say the only thing I ever thought to put tuna with was mayonnaise and sweet corn. I didn't know you could put it with Philadelphia. So I'll have a whole new experience to try.
Indeed, and it'll impress people, even particularly if you put it in a wee ramekin or you do it in a wee ball and roll it in the nuts. It just people think it takes a lot more effort. And I suppose you could use, smoked mackerel or smoked herring or something in it as well. You don't have to just stick to it. So we've got our peeled potatoes and literally just portion them. I like them quite small because I like the potatoes crunchy. But if you like a lot of floury potato, then you'd cut them bigger. Now I do wash them because I don't like the starch that you get. So I give them a little rinse. And I'll just get a wee board or a wee tray. That's my tray, and I am just going to pop them in like that. And the dry roasted potatoes, that's it. That's them ready to go in the oven. And they take about an hour to an hour and a quarter until they go nice and brown. And I've got some that I've already made. These are our potatoes that have been in it. You see they've gone really nice and golden brown, and they're quite crunchy. So the way I would eat them is butter. And again, nice Irish salty butter. So you just slice it open and a wee knob of butter in there. And that is absolutely gorgeous. And you really I don't eat a lot of salt, so I don't put salt on these at all. They're just, with the saltiness of the butter, they're just perfect the way they are, and they're ready to go. And you can see how quick and easy they are. And you don't have to watch a boiling pot of spuds, or and they're a little bit tough. So we'll set those aside. And I'll just show you the chicken that I've just left it out of the oven. This is the other half of the main chicken. So I have that covered in tin foil just to keep it warm until I to rest. So that has rested, and I'm going to let it out and set it on this board.
I haven't got glad rags on.
Con has not his makeup on. He's feeling you wouldn't mind just letting out the tin. I need a third hand. There we go. So I'll just leave that on the tray. These are our spuds. You can even bring this to the table like this. During the summer, this would be lovely outside for barbecue, with your barbecue with the same topping, or if you want to eat outside. We bring this out to the table and away you go. So I'm just going to show you now how to make the jus. You can serve it with a nice salad. We had it the other night with lovely long stem broccoli, but sugar snap, anything like that, to give a wee bit of colour, because it's quite monotone at the minute. And I'll show you how to make the jus. I need to get this. So I'm going to set this into a wee pot, just to take out the lemon, because you don't want to be eating the lemon in your jus when you drizzle it over your chicken. You just pour it in, and you can see all the lemon and leftover thyme is in there. And I have lots of issues to do after this, as I go. And then what you do is, can you see there's a lot of, it's just the olive oil on the top. So what you do is you just skim that off. I'm just going to leave that to rest a little minute until it all comes to the surface. So I'll just leave that for a wee second. And now I'm going to move on to the rhubarb. So 1 second. So we went out and picked some of our own rhubarb this morning. If you're not a gardener, rhubarb is very easy to grow. It seems to thrive under neglect and not very much care. So what you do is you take off the top. Now this would have a big leaf on it. You just see the end of it. The leaf is poisonous, so you have to take it off. And then there's a funny little stalky bit at the end. Now, if you haven't got rhubarb, it's in season at the minute. That's one of the reasons I picked it. It's in season, and you'll get it from Aldi, Lidl. You'll get it from your veg man, and it's just a nice, easy dessert yet again. So I chopped the rhubarb into little bits because I wanted to cook quite quickly. So if you were doing a bigger pie, you might cut the rhubarb slightly larger because it's going to be in the oven longer. You don't want it going into a big mush. So it depends on what size of pie you're baking. So just cut your rhubarb. The good thing with rhubarb is if you buy a bunch and you're only using 2 or 3 stalks, you can cut it up and freeze it. It freezes really well, and then when you're doing another pie or you want some, you just lift a wee bag out of the freezer and it's already there for you. My rhubarb. Pop it in this. Now, I washed this beforehand. So it's just, if there's any wee marks, you can take them off. So that's the rhubarb chopped. I am using the caramel. You can make your own caramel, but I don't. I like to use this is a new product that's just come out by Susan. It's called Love a Little, and Susan has just started this food academy, so you can get her sauces there. She's got 3. This is the caramel, then there's a chocolate and caramel, and she has a chocolate one as well. You'll get them in places like the counter as well as Super Value, and they're super. If you haven't got a Super Value near you and you can't get it, you can always use the Nestle one. It saves a lot of time. So I'm just going to put about a dessert sprinkle of water into the bottom of my, this is the little oven proof dish that I'm going to use. That will do 2 people quite comfortably. So just a dessert spoon of water. And
Why, Jan?
just so that the fruit doesn't dry out and it lets the fruit steam a little bit. Rhubarb is quite a juicy fruit, so you don't need a lot of water, but that will help it steam and cook in its own juice. So I'm going to put in quite that much dessert spoon into the water and just give it a little mix. And this sauce is absolutely glorious. I haven't tried the chocolate one yet. They didn't have it in the counter. I think they were all out. But I want to try it with our soda bread. You can use the soda bread mix as a paste, like a pizza base. So I wanted to have a little go at making a sweet pizza with strawberries and marshmallows, just the way that you get in the rusty oven. So that's another Irish product. So that's our caramel mixed into the water. And now I'm just going to pop in the rhubarb. And actually I wanted to show you, like rhubarb comes, you'll get, that was one stalk with, that's another stalk with. So it just comes in different sizes and you have to chop it the best you can. And hopefully it'll all cook down. You want to fill the bowl, I want to just mix it in now so that I'm not adding sugar. Normally if you were making a crumble you would add sugar to sweeten it for it, but I'm using Susan's caramel. And try not to throw it around a bit. So I want it just about under the top of the bowl. That's about enough. Fill in a couple of wee holes. You can use any size bowl. If there's a Pyrex bowl, if you had 4 or 5 people coming, you'd fill that halfway up with rhubarb and then put your crumble on. So that's the rhubarb and the caramel sauce in there. And I'm going to freeze the rest of that because I don't need it. So I'll just pop it in the freezer bag and write on it the date, either the use by date, and you'd probably give rhubarb 6 months in the freezer. And write on it. I normally write on the weight as well, so I know when I'm lifting it out if I am following a recipe, how much I have in the bag, and then I can top it up. So now we're going to make the crumble. This recipe was one from my auntie Una, and her recipe was for blackberry and apple crumble. It's a little bit different because there's coriander in it, and that sounds a bit strange. I would associate coriander with curries, but actually it's got a really nice, bright flavour, almost a lemony touch to it. There's a theme of lemon running through this whole meal, and it's lovely, very nice. So we've got 4 ounces of plain flour, 4 ounces of sugar, 4 ounces of butter, and we've got our ground coriander, and you'll get that in any shops, Centra, Mace, whatever, Super Value. And I'm going to add the dry ingredients to the bowl. Just pop in the flour, pop in the 4 ounces of sugar, so it's 4, 4, and 4, and then 2 teaspoonfuls of ground coriander. And we're going to give that a little stir to make sure that the sugar and the spices are all nicely mixed in with the flour. And if you have somebody who's celiac in the house, you can use the gluten-free flour. It works very well as well. So now we want to add in our 4 ounces of butter. And this was cold when I weighed it out. So warmed up a little bit, so it's going to be a little bit heavier than normal. And you just, if anybody's made scones before, it's the same kind of idea. You just make it, rub it in with the tips of your fingers, and you want it to resemble breadcrumbs. The apple and blackberry dessert that my aunt made, she would have added a teaspoonful of cinnamon in with the fruit, and oh, it's delicious. You could always add in a little bit of clove. This takes a wee bit of a minute, and it's a wee bit messy. And now I've done a full batch. This is really enough for the Pyrex stick for a medium or a large crumble. But my daughter's home at the weekend, so I'm going to stick this in the fridge. And as I say, you can stick it in the freezer, and I'll make another one at the weekend for her coming home. So there we have it. That's your breadcrumb there. And I'm just gonna wash. I'll put it on and then I'll wash my hands. So that's their little bowl. You sprinkle it on, just like that. And that's gonna go in the oven at 180 for about 40 minutes. Now, everybody's ovens are different, so just wait until it's golden brown, and you'll find that it'll start bubbling up around the sides. Just gonna wash my hands. Okay. If you want, you can get like the tin foil containers that you get in Chinese takeaways. You can actually make up. You're making one up you can make a second one up, and you can cook it off and freeze it, or you can freeze it uncooked. Just pop it, fill it like that in the container, put the lid on, right on the top, and then pop it in the freezer, and then you're ready to go. I have, because I made one earlier, I had a little bit left over. As you can see, I've got my Sharpie, my freezer bag, and it's all labeled up, ready to go. So that'll be a nice dessert some evening. So that's ready to go in the oven, and I pop that on a baking tray. Always pop things on baking trays. I'm trying to lift that out. It's got molten hot rhubarb and caramel. You'll get burned. So always pop things in a baking tray. So that goes into the oven for, as I said, about 40-45 minutes. So here's one I prepared earlier. And as you can see, it's all bubbled up around the outside. It's golden brown, and the fruit will have cooked through. You don't need to cook the fruit first, it'll just cook through. So there we go. So that's your. I'm just going to finish off the dough now, because the fat has all floated to the top. So you just skim it off, because if you don't, it will be, your sauce will be oily, and I prefer to lose a little bit of the gravy and have absolutely no fat on the top. And you then just pop this on the hob and reduce it down a little bit. And there it is. Absolutely gorgeous. I would reduce that down just a little bit, but you just drizzle it over the top of the chicken then, and you're all ready to go.
I'm going to do a close-up, Sian, of the food here. So there's our.
This is the tuna pate with wild fuchsia, bakehouse, wheaten bread, and a little salad. And then we have our lemon and thyme chicken with dry roasted potatoes, followed by rhubarb and caramel crumble. And we've used a lot of local ingredients. We've used Glenbourne egg. I've used Odlum's flour, another Irish company. I've used Shikra caster sugar. I've used local rhubarb in my garden. I was saying you can use the Donegal rapeseed oil, the Donegal butter, Donegal love a little sauces, Shine's tuna, Noon's chicken. We're a great county, real foodie county. And if anybody isn't aware, the Donegal Food Coast, that's well worth a look at. It's a lot of Donegal hotels, restaurants, and producers like ourselves. And I'm a great believer in shopping local and supporting local. So if you can, that's just great. So John, that's really us.
Sian, that was just fantastic. I'm amazed, because funny, we were chatting about this, myself and Eamon, my colleague in the volunteer centre earlier, going, how did you be able to cook all that stuff in under an hour? But fair play to you. There's a 3-course dinner there, and you went with the Blue Peter mantra of here's one I prepared earlier, but that is just amazing. Yeah, and it's fantastic to see that all Donegal products. We've taken a similar approach to Volunteer Week this year. We've gone for all Donegal speakers. We have people, we're trying to celebrate our local people as much as anything, just to have that out there and have people coming on and talking. Look, we do what we have in the comments is just praise and well done. I don't know if anybody has any questions. Do they want to unmute and ask, or pop stuff into the chat? we'll just take a moment and see how we go. Yeah, it is. It's just that to say. And next time we do this, myself and Eamon will be behind the camera with Colin, so we can actually enjoy the food. You know, I going down now to make a sandwich that I made myself at lunchtime isn't going to be quite as good as looking at your stuff there.
I'll just echo what some of the comments are saying. That was a fantastically presented cooking demonstration, and all the small tips about the lemon and not getting into the white bit, all very practical when you hear it, but we need to hear it. And thanks for the detail. You put a lot of preparation into that. Really appreciate it. Even I learned something today, Sian, which is I've been forced to watch cookery programs at home, right? This was a joy.
Well, thank you.
If you knew how little I give praise, you'd be on the floor, like.
No, it was, Sian. It was fantastic. And your own products, Wild Fuschia, are available on your website. What's the website, Sian?
It's wildfuchsia.ie. They're also available in a lot of the local shops, the counter, Super Values, again in the Food Academy.
Very good. And the Donegal products, it was Donegal Food Coast. Was that the name of the program that shows the Donegal product?
Yes, that's right. It's run by the Donegal Local Enterprise Office, and it's they have a map as well. And our bread mixes have won a number of awards. Glasnaheran, our stout bread, got a silver award, and they have a fantastic map as well, showing all the award winners. And then our soda bread and wheat bread, they won 2 stars at the Great Taste Awards. So that was great as well.
It's fantastic, Sian. And you know it's great to see that from a small company in Hornhead and Dunfanaghy can have that sort of national reach, and it is, and it shows, I suppose, with technology and presentation and skill ultimately, what you can. Oh no, Jesus! I've tried the stuff; it's good. So no, it is what you can achieve, and it's just phenomenal. So no, look, thank you very much. Just to let everybody know, we've made a recording of this session, so we'll share it out with the attendees. And Sian has also very kindly provided us with recipe cards, so we'll send that out to everybody as well, so that you're not trying to remember how much lemon to cut; it'll be on it. So, Sian, thank you very much, and thank you to everybody else who attended with us today.
Thanks a million, John. All the best.
Thank you.